Good afternoon and welcome to another Monday edition of Sun Dragon Tips and Tricks. I'm Rebecca. I'm the owner of Sun Dragon Art and Fiber in Brevard, North Carolina, and I have a swivel chair now, so I'm going to try not to swivel too much on you. But coming to you from my home, and we're still continuing with our seaming series. I have shown you with knitting how to take two sides and put them together, how to take two tops and put them together, how to have a top meet a side, and that was all with stockinette. That's this spot over here where all the V's, the front sides and knit stitches, are on one side of the fabric, and all the purl, what I call the purl bumps, the turtleneck bumps, are on the back side. This is the front when you have a purl stitch. The edges of these, to help them lay flat, I did in what we call garter. Now, garter is when you knit every stitch, you get the fronts and the backs of knit stitches on both sides. It helps things lay flat, like I just said. It is, when you're first doing something, that's what it'll look like if you're only doing the knit stitch. Now, what if you want to seam, get my tails out of the way, this side together? Okay. These two sides together. You actually might use a different technique because I was showing you channels and ways to, it's all bumpy. What do? It's actually in some ways simpler than the other steps I've been telling you. And it can lead to a flatter seam. All the others had a little bit of a ridge on the inside. This can be really great if, say, you're taking squares of a blanket and sewing it together, and you have garter on the edges because you wanted it to lay flat. So I'm going to show you how to stick these together. Let's get to it. Seaming Part 4, Seaming 101 Part 4. And this is seaming garter, which is knitting. Let me get garter. I might try to do something next week for crochet, but garter is knitting, where you knit every row. Every row when knitting flat. And what I mean by that is when you're turning it around at the end of every row and you knit every row, you get front sides, and then when you flip it around there's a back side and you put a front side on top of that. You end up with a textured stitch, a textured fabric. If you're knitting in a circle, you got to do something else to get this. Don't worry about that right now. Ask me in the questions, in the comments if you need it. What I recommend doing is using the purl bumps, which are technically the back side of a knit stitch. They stick out. They stick out along the edge. We'll see it over here when we get to it. Now, all the other videos I showed you so far had a rhythm of go back to the same hole you came out of and go back to the same hole you came out of and weave your way up when you're doing this seaming or this sewing. Because really, seaming is glorified sewing with the yarn. Sewing with yarn. Ugh. Okay, this is different than all the other steps right now because we are not going back to the same place we left on different sides. We're going to the next bump of those purl bumps I just mentioned. We still have a repeated action. The repeat action is just different. Last time it was go back to the same hole, go up, go back to the same hole you left on this side, go up, go back to the same hole. This has a repeated action, but it's different. You are always, there's two different ways I think you can think about it. You can go to the middle between the two pieces. Let's say we have the two pieces and here's the gap. You're going to go back to the gap every single time. You can go to the middle and go out, and then to the middle and go out, and then to the middle and go out. That's this one. Or another way to think about it, because everyone's different visual people, if we have that gap between the two pieces that you're seaming, you can go from the center and you go up, and the center and go up, and the center and go up. Now, if this makes absolutely no sense, just hang on. I'm going to show you on the picture over here. As always, when things are not lining up perfectly, you may need to fudge it. Things will not be perfect. You need to let go of perfection. It is more of an art form, not a science. So I will always say it's more an art form than a science. Fudging happens all the time. So let's take a look over here. These are two pieces, and here is the gap. The gap between the two pieces that I was talking about on the other side. When it's in garter, these bumps here, the back sides of knit stitches will be the more raised and pronounced, and they will look like horizontal slashes, maybe two levels of them. But I'm going to mark those purl bumps that really stick out. An edge of them, one level of them, will stick out more. So the little X I just did on those places, that is what I've been calling our purl bumps. And we're going to use those to sew this together. So here's the other thing I'd like to do before we get started, is you'll see what almost looks, between the purl bumps, almost looks like 2 rows of knitting. It's not, it's 1. But it'll look like knitting I call V's, and we'll see a bunch of them, but they will be more recessed. So I am just going to shade them in, so we're not focused on them. So the emphasis is more on the raised purl bumps, and I'll speed this part up. So the emphasis right now are on those raised ridges that we can see. They'll be closer to you when you're looking at your work, and we're going to focus on the bumps that stick out. So let's take step 1. We're always going to go center out or center up, middle up, whichever way. So step 1, I'm going to talk about going in and out, in and out. It may also look like I'm going up. So, but let's see. I just keep changing my mind. So, step 1. Let's pick the left side. We are going to go from the center here, step 1, and we're going to take our first bump and we're going to go under it and up. Yeah, the language is, let's say, center, start at the center, up, under, first, purl bump, on edge. Little jump because I had to edit there. That's okay. Step 2. We're right about here right now. Step 2, we need to go over to the first purl bump on the right side, but we need to do the same exact action. We need to go under and up. Same motion we just did on the right, but now we're not on the left, excuse me, but now we're doing it on the right. So right side, same thing though. We're going to go back to the center, and up under first purl bump on edge. So we got this side, then we get that side. So we're about here right now. Step 3 gets repeated. We're going to go over to the opposite side, next purl bump. So we're going from the center, under, and up. Cross to the other side, find your next bump, under and up. Repeated motion, switching sides. We are going to simply repeat step 3. Squeezing it in down there. But let's come up here. So step 4, we're right here. Come back to the center. Go under and up the next side. Step 5, back, cross over, under and up. Step 6, cross over, under and up. Almost done. Step 7, under and up. And close off the sides at the top. Step 8, I would go under and up my last one. It's weaving back and forth, but it's always going in the same motion. For this drawing, it was easiest to go under and up. You can also think about it like I'm going this way, and then I'm going this way. And I'm going this way, other direction. But it's always from the center out, or from the middle up, or whatever words I used over there. My 2 samples here are uneven, but we're going to just do as much as we can. And I don't know if I'm going to do it with the same color, but the same color would mask it. I want to say we hopefully won't see much of it even with this other color. So, if I can, I'll use a tail. This tail's really short. I want to leave at least 6 inches to weave in later. So I'm using an alternate color so we can see it. I started on my left side, so let's do that. Now these purl bumps here, not this, here. Do you see how there's a whole line I can follow out to the edge? Whole line out to the edge. If it's not that whole line, I'm going to ignore it. So this looks like my first purl bump. That's a line I can find. I'm going to go under and up. Or up under, whatever makes the most sense. And I want to leave a decent tail to weave in later. Okay, I'm going to cross over to the other side. I could go as far down as this, way down where the tail is, but I'm going to take the first real obvious purl bump I see on the outside. Up under this one, same motion, up, up. I'm not circling, I'm not doing anything, I'm going up, up, up. Okay, here's where my last one was. I can always tug on it to see. I just did this one last time I was over, so I'm going to go to the next one. Under and up. Get my tails out of the way. They don't want to be in the way. I'm doing a zigzag, if you can notice that there. I'm going to come over across. I did this one last time, so I'm going to come to the next one. Under and up. See how that looks? if I pull it snug, only going to see the littlest bit. It's going to pull these guys in together. Pull it apart if you don't know where you were. There's where you were last time, so let's go to the next one. Under and up. Cross sides, under and up. Cross sides, under and up. Or we can think about it as the middle, away, middle, away, middle, did that one, got to go up here, away. Now if this hadn't worked right, I could always rip back and try again. But if I really tug that, I barely see it. And they're connected. If you did it with the same color yarn as what you were knitting with, you wouldn't see it at all. And if I flip this over, ignore all the loose yarn I got going here. It may not be quite as pretty on the other side, but it's pretty flat. I don't have a seam there. Like I have said on all of these videos, I like to seam it with the side that I will see in the end facing me, so I really know how it's going to look. But this is one that if it's a blanket where you might see the back side, it's a great one to use because maybe not as pretty, but still relatively flat and nice. I feel like that was kind of a short one today, but that's okay. Sometimes you got other things to do, right? I am hoping, so we have shown you how to seam together the garter. I'm thinking I'm going to do at least one crochet one, which has some similarities to what we just did in a way, but you know, if you got granny squares, how do you seam those together? I have ways that I do it that I can share with you. So that's what I'd be looking for next week. If you have ideas, please, or questions, please share them with me. Yeah, I'm doing that swivelly thing again. I'll try to stop. Problem having toys, right? Some people have been asking questions, and I say, I don't know if that's a video. It might be a lesson because it's a more targeted question, but I will always try to answer what I can. So I'm still also distracted because I'm filming seeing my face, but that's not me problem, not a you problem. Anyway, I hope you are doing well in the midst of all the chaos of the world. And I find that crafting, knitting, and crocheting is my go-to to help me process the world and to help me get away from it and de-stress. So I hope it's the same for you. And if I can assist you in that, please let me know. Hopefully these videos are a first step. A lot of hopes in there. Anyway, may your crafting be filled with joy and confidence. Please consider subscribing if you haven't already. That can let you know when I post new videos, which I try to do every Monday. Give it a like if you like the information. Share it with friends you think could benefit from it. And keep giving me topics. If I can plan it out and I don't think it'll take 3 hours, I'll try to make a video. Try to help you out with tips and tricks. Be well and stay safe. The zen of kitties and the ability to crunch into small spaces. Yes. Hi, Avi. Rainy days, this is how we all should spend them.